Hello, my friends. Welcome to our blending lesson today. It's February 5th, and we are in Unit 3, Week 4, which is review of all the stuff that we've learned in Unit 3, which is the long A card, spelled with A blanky, the long I card, which is spelled with I blanky, and we are working on soft G, which says that J sound ja, and soft C, which says that S sound S. So let's do high frequency words first. Of course, if you know them, say them. Make sure you practice. If not, pay attention. Repeat after. Practice the words. All right. After, soon, work, done, by, every, ago, people, boy, girl, old, how, happy, any, so, upon, from, once, water, together, should, pretty, grow, green, way, now, away, why, today, and some. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and do our first word. First word's going to be some long A words. So long A says its name. It says A, just like you'd say it when you were singing the ABCs. And it is spelled a blank E. So remember that blank can just be any other letter. And the E signals, it gives you a clue that the A in the word is going to change from A to the long sound A. All right. Wade, your turn. Wa. A, long A. Da. Wade. Wade. W says wa. A. And then its buddy E says long A. Wa. A. D says da. Wa. Aid. Wade. So the word wade, kind of a tricky one. It's not one that you hear very often, but it just means that you're going to go in the water and you're going to be up to like your knees or maybe your calves. You're not going to be too far in the water. You're just going to wade in because it might be kind of cold and you don't know if you want to jump all the way in quite yet. Next word, lake, your turn. Ol, a, k, lake. L says ol. A blanky, a. K says ka, ol, ake, lake. Next word, wake, your turn. Wa, a, k, wake. W says wa. A blanky says long A. Wa, a. And K says ka. Wa, ake, wake. So you notice in this word, lake and wake, they sound the same at the end. They both end with that A-K-E. All right. Next word, gaze, your turn. Ga, a, z, gaze. So we're going to try this a little different. I'm going to put the whole word up, and then we can sound it out piece by piece. And as I'm writing it, of course, you can sound it out. That's always the way you can do it. All right, so now let's sound it out the way that we would see it in a book. G, ga, a. Oh no, there's an E that tells me I gotta flip it. Ga, a, z, gaze. That makes sense because you're gazing up at the moon. All right, let's go ahead and do some long I words. So just like long A was A blank E, long I says its name, it says I, and it is I blank E. Okay, there we go. Like, your turn. Ol, I, k, like. So like is a high frequency word, which we can now sound out. I'm going to put the whole word here, and then we can try to sound it out like we would if we saw it in a book. Alright, so here it is. I see this word, whether in high frequency word test or I see it in a book. O, I, K, E. Oh no, the E, it's going to tell that I to flip. Let's try it with a long I. O, I, K, like. That makes sense. It sounds like a high frequency word. It sounds like a word that I know. Alright. Next word. While. Your turn. Wa. I. O. While. I say the word while. W-H makes that W sound. It's a digraph. I blank E makes the long I. I. Wa. I. L says O. Wa. I-o. While. Next word. Bite. Your turn. B. I. T. Bite. So B says ba. I blank E. The E tells the I to flip and turn from I to I. T says ta. Ba. I. T. Bite. Next word. Pile. Your turn. P. I. O. Pile. Like a pile of clothes on the floor that you need to clean up. P says P. I blank E is going to say that I sound. L says O. P. I-o. Pile. Right. Now we're going to do some soft G and some soft C words. Remember, soft G says, let's see if I can do this. Soft G says that J sound, and soft C says that S sound. Soft G can be spelled with D-G-E, of course, only at the end of the word, and it can also be spelled with G-E, and that can come at the beginning or at the end of the word, and sometimes with like with long I or long A, which is spelled with I blank E or A blank E. Sometimes that blank is a soft G. All right. Hedgehog. Your turn. H, E, J, H, A, G. Hedgehog. Now, hedgehog is an animal, and it was an animal from that story last week called The Nice Mitten, I think it was. If you haven't watched it, you can go ahead and flip on over to the Unit 3, Week 3 playlist and go check it out. It's a pretty nice story. Okay. So when you see this word in the story that you can read with the sound off, you can sound it out piece by piece. So H says H, E says E, and then you're going to come to D, G, E, which we know can say that J sound. Good. D, G, E all together, those three, J. And then H says H, O says aw, G says ga, H, E, J, H, aw, ga, hedgehog. Okay, and definitely, when you see this one, you practice it a whole bunch of times because it's a longer word. So by the time you get over here or over here and you have to think about what DGE says, sometimes you lose what you said at the beginning of the word. So again, of course, practice, practice, practice. It really helps you with those reading skills. And next word, trace. Your turn. Ter, a, s, trace, trace. T-R, ta-er, ter. A blanky makes that long A sound. A, ter, a. And in this word, trace, that blank is the soft C. Ter, ace, trace. So of course, you see this in a book. Track. That doesn't quite match the picture. Let me flip the sounds. Oh, there's A, there's E. I think that tells A it's got to switch. Turake. That doesn't quite match the picture. That doesn't even sound like a real word to me. Let me flip that C and turn it into an S. Trace. That sounds like a word that I know. I can see in the picture the girl is drawing, so she might be tracing. All right, next word. Space. Your turn. Spa. Space. So this is another word with a long A sound. Spa. A. When I say space, I hear long A. Spa. A. But the blank between the A blank E is the soft C. So what I just did with the word trace, you would also kind of do with the word space. Except until, you're such a master at all of these sounds and you practice so many times, you don't even have to think about flipping them because you just know. Spa, A, space. All right, so let's read all of our words. Wade, lake, wake, gaze. Your turn. Wonderful. Like, while, bite, pile. Your turn. Lovely. Hedgehog, trace, space. Your turn. Wonderful. Okay, let's do a sentence. Capital W, beginning of a sentence. This is going to be a high frequency word. High frequency word. What? S says S. I blank E says that long I sounds. I. Z says Z. Eyes. Size. What size? High frequency word is. High frequency word the. What size is the? So this word the, it's a high frequency word that you'll never be able to sound out. You really just have to memorize this word, THE, the, because just about every book that you will ever read is going to have this word, the. So you just have to memorize it. It's a high frequency word from kinder. What size is the? PR, per. There's I. Oh wait, could it say I? Per, I. Wait, there's an E at the end of that word, so I know I have to flip it and turn it into long I. Per, I. And in this word, the blank in between the I blank E is the Z. Per, eyes. Prize. What size is the prize? P says pa. U says MP, mpa, mp. K says ka. I says I. Or will it say I? We'll find out once we get to the end of the word, sounding it out piece by piece. So I don't have an E at the end of this word. So I doesn't have a buddy. Doesn't have any letter telling it to change from I to I. So that I is going to say I. Pa, ka. Pa, pa, ka, I, pumpkin. Right. What size is the prize pumpkin? Your turn. All right. So W, capital letter, because it's the beginning of a sentence. Talk about punctuation. So this sentence, does it have an answer? It does. So that means it's going to be a question mark. It's going to be a question mark because it has an answer. What size is the prize pumpkin? The prize pumpkin was 40 pounds. Can you believe it? That pumpkin won the prize because it was the biggest pumpkin. So one way that you can tell if a word is going to be, or if a sentence is a question when you're writing and you're trying to think, okay, does a period come at the end of the sentence, or does a question come at the end of the sentence that I just wrote? WH. A lot of questions begin with WH words, like what, or who, or why. Is that one of these? Yes. Why? A lot of questions will begin with those kinds of words, WH words. So if it begins with that word, you kind of already know, you kind of work on that practice that it is a question. All right, so let's do some nouns and verbs. Okay, so in this sentence, we have one noun. One noun. Pumpkin. The only thing in our sentence that you can touch. Okay? And we've talked about how the noun does the verb because it's normally an action. In this sentence, though, the verb is not an action. It is not something that you can see, so it's not an action. But the verb is the word is. Because every sentence has to have a noun, and it has to have a verb. Is a noun you can't see. It's not something that the noun is doing. The pumpkin is not doing anything. But in this question, is kind of asking, what is the pumpkin? What's the pumpkin doing? Pumpkin's not doing anything, but is the verb.